interpreting the metaphor of Genesis. So that's become my favorite pastime for a while. I'm really nailing it. And I was headed towards showing how the first part of Genesis up to the flood story is a template that is visible, but it is a creation template, but it's a template of the creation of a human. And that as we go through this, though, we look at Genesis. Anybody that's read it a lot, there's a couple of odd things going on there that start really at creation. There's two variations of the creation story, but also when you get to the flood story, there's two variations of prepping to get on board the ark. And people that have read the Bible, that are familiar with it, that look at it a lot, people know that. Christians know that. People who believe it stoutly know that that's there. They explain it, though, that there's two different accounts. It's still the same story, that it's all there. I'm going to tell you what I found. The add-on to Genesis, the first part, the first creation story, and the piece that goes into the ark story that adds that in, those two go together. Those two go together and were added later. I want to show you how that is. Let's take a look. All right, I don't know how well this is going to show up, but I'm going to approach this in a couple of different ways. Let's do a couple of things. First of all, let's look at this. I'm using this navigation or the find tool in Microsoft here, and I'm going to tell it to find 7, the number 7 for me. So I'm just going to type that in, and it says there's 24 results. If I come up here to the very beginning of Genesis and I start coming through here, I find that 7 starts appearing 3 times at the end of the first creation story. And I'm suggesting that was an add-in. That's what I'm suggesting at this point. The 7s appear there. As we get into the second creation story, there is no 7s. First creation and its sin, there's no 7s, there's no 7s. Once we get down into Cain murders Abel, I want to talk about this because there's some 7s here, but they sound different. Listen to this. Then the Lord said to him, "Not so. Whoever kills Cain will suffer a 7-fold vengeance." And the Lord put a mark on Cain so that no one who came upon him would kill him. And then the other later on, there's one that says, "I have killed a man for wounding me, a young man for striking me. If Cain is avenged 7-fold, truly Lamech 77-fold." So those 7s are there. I want to point them out because, we're looking for something that is consistent here. Once we get down to there's other 7s here. I'm going to talk about those. These are not 7s. These are actually something different going on. 807, 70 years, 187. So these are different numbers. These are not 7s. These are combinations of something different. I'm just looking for 7s. If we get down here all the way to the flood story, look at that. 7 days. That's when the 7 pairs, 7 days start popping up. So the 7s that appear in the first creation story right at the end appear to be something that is shoring up a teaching in the Great Flood. What would that be? Okay, so that's the first thing I want to look at. I want to point that out. The other numbers, there's something else going on. There's more layers to this than what I can see. What I want to do next, though, is, do you see how here in this Great Flood, if you're looking at this on a screen, this part of the flood story, I'm not sure where it appears, but in the Bible, I chopped out the verses and chapters here. But if you go through it, you'll see that Noah did this. He did all that God commanded him. Then there's another great flood beginning right there. If you were to take that where I've got it highlighted, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this out right here. Watch this. I'm just going to cut this out. Then, I'll just leave it there. Let's see how it reads without that piece in. These are the descendants of Noah. Noah was a righteous man, blameless in his generation. Noah walked with God. Okay, right there's a calling. And Noah had 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Now the earth was corrupt in God's sight, and the earth was filled with violence. And God saw that the earth was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted its ways upon the earth. And God said to Noah, I have determined to make an end of all flesh, for the earth is filled with violence because of them. Now I am going to destroy them along with the earth. Make yourself an ark of cypress wood. Make rooms in the ark and cover it inside and out with pitch. This is how you are to make it. The length of the ark, 300 cubits. Its width, 50 cubits, and its height, 30 cubits. Make a roof for the ark and finish it to a cubit above, and put the door of the ark in its side, and make it with lower, second, and third decks. Lower, second, and third decks. Keep an eye on that. Those three show up everywhere. 1, 2, 3. Father, Son, Holy Ghost. For my part, I am going to bring a flood of waters on the earth to destroy from under heaven all flesh in which is the breath of life. Everything that is on the earth shall die. But I will establish my covenant with you, and you shall come into the ark, you, your sons, your wife, your sons' wives with you, and of every living thing of all flesh. You shall bring 2 of every kind into the ark, to keep them alive with you. They shall be male and female, of the birds according to their kinds, and of the animals according to their kinds, of every creeping thing of the ground, according to its kind. 2 of every kind shall come into you, to keep them alive. Also take with you every kind of food that is eaten, and store it up, and it shall serve as food for you and for them. Noah did this. He did all that God commanded him. On the very same day, Noah with his sons, Shem and Ham and Japheth, and Noah's wife and the 3 wives of his sons entered the ark. They and every wild animal of every kind, and all domestic animals of every kind, and every creeping thing that creeps upon the earth, and every bird of every kind, every bird, every winged creature. Okay, I don't need to keep reading this. If you are following, or if you're reading along, you will see that I just left that whole chunk right out of there. Of the 7 pairs of 2, this, that, I left that completely out and you didn't even miss it. It was a smooth flow. It was originally not there. If we go to the beginning, I don't need to delete it, but you see I've got it kind of colored light here. I'm going to skip all of that and start right into the second creation story. In the day that the Lord God made the earth and the heavens, when no plant of the field was yet in the earth, and no herb of the field had yet sprung up. This will go on, and it will start a story that begins telling us how the 5 things work in the mind and how the story works in those 5 things. That's a more detail we have to get into, but right now just leave it at that this is telling us that we emerge, that we begin. It's a very simple creation. This is going to be more reminiscent of something that we see in the Enuma Elish. It's not got a lot of detail. This is not meant for influencing a population, but it also is lacking in some certain things. The other story is telling us some things. So if you took the first creation and that chunk of oddball, where are we? The flood story out, you get a complete cohesive story that doesn't sound weird anymore. It doesn't. Those 2 pieces in make it sound strange. Why would that be? Okay, so what we've done up to this point is very mentally establishing that at day 7 in that first creation story is a point in human creation where we are self-aware, conscious, happy. We're not hurt by life yet. We're ready to go experience life. We have our basic programming, our whatever DNA things we came with, brain type, stuff like that. But by and large, we're happy kids ready to go. That's a point in time right there that is number 7. Now, what is going to happen at the flood? And this is why it's important to look at the 7s that are showing up there. Again, we're looking at all these as being analogous terms. Let me find it here. Okay, let's go back and look at it again. Here, the Genesis, we get the flood part here. What do we have then? The Lord said to Noah, "Go into the ark and all your household, for I have seen that you alone are righteous before me in this generation." Okay, so there's another calling. The calling was already made up above. These are the descendants of Noah. Noah was a righteous man, blameless in his generation. Noah walked with God. So there's a calling there, then there's another calling down here. Somebody added that in, like maybe, why don't we just take out that whole chunk? But they didn't. They put it in instead. They could have replaced it. Go into the ark, you and all your household. Okay, what are we going for? Take with you 7 pairs of all clean animals, the male and its mate, and a pair of the animals that are not clean, 7 pairs of the birds. And so the 7 right here, we're not looking at 7 pairs of anything. What we're looking at is 7 is a conceptual idea of the pure form of the animals, the pair, each. We're going with duality. We're getting ready for a flood. We're getting ready to wipe out everything that we have inside of us. This is going to be representing our own purging, our own rebirth, our own personal rebirth. What are we bringing with us on that rebirth? We're going to have qualities and characteristics that we had as a child that we're going to want to have again, that we're going to bring with us. I don't know what those are. This is where the analogs, what do we have? The clean animals and animals. I don't know exactly what the unclean is. Unclean shows up here for the first time. It doesn't show up anywhere before this. So why are they introducing unclean animals right here? This must have came about later and it got added up, and you start unwinding this and go, yeah, this doesn't fit exactly in a cohesive flow. You can see that they're putting pieces in here. And the 7 pairs of the things that you're supposed to bring is on the other side of this flood. You're not going to be empty. You're going to have your sense of justice, your sense of wonder, your sense of whatever they're using as analog, whatever they're using as qualities that these are. Then on the other side of this, you're going to have duality again. You purge yourself, it can go bad again for you. Your life may not be okay. But that is what I believe they're setting up here. Then that wasn't in the first. Without those additions, that wasn't there. We weren't being told that. We weren't being told that the 7 is a place of like childhood purity that we want to get to. That came about later. And then, of course, also in the first creation story, it's telling us about the plants, the stuff that emerges. That's not in the second one. So it's giving us more information, how things cycle. All of that is more clear. It is helpful to the template teaching. It looks like a kludge, honestly, but you can see why it's there. It's necessary for it to be there, to have all of this information. I got another screen up. I'm sitting here talking to this, thinking I'm talking to you, and I've still got that. Okay. Okay, that's it. So it looks to me, very obvious to me that was added in. What else? So the 7s are there, the weird stuff. There's other things with other numbers that there's still something there that I don't have unwrapped. But those 7s that appear at those 2 places were not the original 7s. So the other thing, the 7-fold punishment and things like that, those were there established as what? I don't know. Then 777s and other 7s. There's other things that were structured there before that 7 came specifically into place. So there was something going on prior to that 7 showing up. I don't know how to get back that far. This is where I fall short, and you need experts of that time that are like, oh, yeah, they're doing this, they're doing that. I'm just a template guy. I don't know what they're doing detailed so much. What else? I'm going to bring up another copy of that. I've got a bunch of these I'm working through in different ways, doing different things with them. So I want to point out something that I don't have a handle on, but let me find that real quick here. I got it highlighted. There we go. This part right here, Adam's descendants to Noah and his sons. I'm not going to read through it all. I've gone through here and just kind of done some things, and I haven't completed with it yet, but I see things. I realize this is where from antiquity they get their lineage from. How old is the earth? They start doing this. They're looking at these as literal instead of analogs. That the names are probably going to mean something. The numbers are going to mean something. The addition, I don't know what's going on in there. But there is, in other material, this section comes out where there is some sort of a lineage taking place. So we're going to figure this one out. Just don't have it right now. It's going to emerge. If anybody wants to, they can go play with that. All right. In a nutshell, look at what is happening. On a first creation story, this first creation story is establishing that we are born. It's establishing the night and day. It's duality, cycles. It's establishing how the cosmos works, and it's establishing that we start out on that day 7 right there. That is the point of creation that is going to emerge later in the material. Second creation story, we emerge there and become self-aware, happy with 5 mental regions, no life judgments. We're conscious, our subconscious, and we haven't accumulated anything in life at this point. This is the template. The first sin and its punishment. This represents attached to the physical life. We start out as kids we're not attached to anything. We don't have commitments about things. We don't have beliefs. We don't have groups. We don't have my side against yours. I guess that starts pretty early, but there's a point in time in life where we have not mentally begun to attach to things in such a way that that we begin to have a less than carefree, happy life. In any manner, we're growing up, we're experiencing life unaware of that. And we live from the physical realm of those experiences, unaware of our mental connection. We lose our childhood bliss right there. That's sin and what happens, and we get cast out. We no longer, now we're living our normal lives. Cain murders Abel. Our first split self begins to take over. This is the half tied to the ground. Agriculture is representing that. In the Garden of Eden, the serpent was tied to the ground, representing of the earth, of the physical, not of the higher realm. Tied to the ground or physical realm, unaware of that. This self is protected because it is powerful. We are dominant and ego-driven. Yeah, whoever kills Cain, I guess you can't kill Cain. I'm not sure if that's what that means, but I believe so. Beginnings of civilization. This is where we just start beginning to pick up all of our, our habits. We go off in life and we don't know much at first. We're pretty naive, and then later we lose that, and we begin to pick up and accumulate all manner of things. And this is beginning to create the structure of who and what we are, which is the tree of the knowledge of good and evil that we are still partaking from. There's some kind of a lineage going on here that is still a little nebulous, adding complex number, name, analogs, creating genealogy of future self. I don't have a good handle on this one, except to say that it points to the creation of more inner facets for current and future use in the stories, linking story points as well, perhaps. Yeah, I don't have this one yet. The wickedness of mankind, that is us. That is who and what we are. What do we have? Nephilim, the giants, our characteristics that have taken over our pure characteristics and become dominant in our first life or first part of life. We used to be honest. Now we're not anymore. The Nephilim took over the honesty. We used to not judge people, but now we do. The Nephilim took over our non-judgment. These are characteristics. These are holding the idea that we are becoming now limited and restricted based on our own thinking processes, and that these are big things in there taking over. They have taken over the offspring, the young offspring of our soul, our psyche. Let's see, everyone gets to this point right here in varying degrees, and based on the accumulation of life or sin experience, most remain on this course right here. Period. That's it. That is, take a look here. What's next? Noah pleases God. This starts the first monomyth template right here. We become Noah if we awaken to the material and its path and choose to turn inward. Get that turned off. All right. See that? That's the big template. Now, within each template step, there's a number of things in there, and that's what I've been looking at, those analogs, but they can get very deep. You see that? Some of them become very obvious because of the repetitive use and because they fit up here. When you're starting to suddenly grab numbers and names of something that are back there, I have no idea. I know that they're there for something, though, that is along this same template. So we're not lost. We're just holding this going, this means something that we need a different kind of expert to look at. And I don't think I want to. There's bigger stuff out there. There's a bigger overview, I think, that needs to be shown, that all these details and all that little stuff, that complexity that just keeps the mind wrapped up and busy. Again, imagine we're sitting in the desert all day, all night, every day, every week, every month, our entire lives, no media. Think of that. These stories are freaking huge. That is their media. It is also, it has all kinds of structure. Look at our society, all the things in place to keep things going on. They're using these stories as the beginnings of that. Well, I'm sure they're stoning each other in the streets and doing stuff like that too. We know that all that's going on. Rules and laws are coming about. Civilizations, we still got a long way to go, but there was a multi-purpose in all of this material. At the same time, all of it is nesting this same common template. Doesn't matter what you believe in. When you think your religion is the right one above everybody else's and they're all wrong, you don't know what you're carrying. Yeah. When you see that there's one thing that is the same, I don't know what to say. I wish it was visible I wish it was easily visible to everyone. It's not easily visible to anyone, honestly. I fumble with, I've been doing this for years now. Look, I'm still trying to figure it out. It's big, big, big. But you know what? It was done by thousands of people over thousands of years, probably. Yeah, all the stories, the way that they were passed along, mouth to mouth, built up. They represent people of their time. Well, I'm going to keep this video short. I'm having fun with the Genesis and the template. I think everybody understands the implications. I'm not sure where to go next. I think I might take a break, and I haven't done a one verse in a while, but those, I think what I should do is probably a very quick, once again, here's how you read Jesus, short verse, the Sermon on the Mount, Sermon on the Plain, one of those two, boop, 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 quick, just show how they play out in the psyche without the complex story involvement part to it. The complex story is not revealing anything that doesn't emerge elsewhere. It's just a matter of demonstrating that Genesis indeed is on that template. That's a little more complicated. All right. I hope it was fun. Love one another. I'll see you in the next video.